All right, let's get this going. Yeah, thanks again for joining today. This is another in our regular green tech series of solar manufacturers. Today, we're going to be, of course, presenting Maxeon, and we'll have both Spencer Collette and Tim Gillen joining. I'll click through the intro slides real quick. So as usual, getting started, data sheets and additional resources are always available under handouts. I don't think they're uploaded yet, but they should be uploaded before the end of the webinar. We'll have a Q&A session at the end as usual. Please just submit the questions as they come up. If something is really relevant right away, we might even try to get to it immediately, but we'll definitely do the Q&A session at the end. And then, of course, as usual, we will record today's webinar and people can enjoy it later with their loved ones at home. Yeah, so of course, I'm Stuart Fox. I like to introduce these because I get to pitch our design services at Green Tech Renewables. I'm the head of design services. Basically, if you are part of the Green Tech Renewables network, if you're a customer, a contractor of Green Tech Renewables, we have a nationwide engineering and tech sales network that can help from project conception all the way to as-built drawings, and even commissioning in some situations. Every single Green Tech account will have a customer portal if they want it, with 24/7 access to really probably the most seasoned design team in America. We cover everything you can imagine: carports, batteries. We deal with HOAs. We can help you with PPAs. We work military projects, and more importantly, we'll help keep your neighbors, Tony and Nicole, happy while we help design your project on houses too. And of course, Green Tech Renewables Design Services is a part of Green Tech Renewables. I think everybody knows Green Tech very well from this webinar. I recognize quite a few names. Green Tech has always been committed to providing their customers with really the best service and products that are available, always from leading manufacturers. The critical point of Green Tech Renewables is that we have warehouses everywhere. I think last count, almost 100 warehouses across the country. And so we can provide everything from financing to, most critically, logistical support for delivery. And my team, of course, design services, can help tie that all together from beginning to end. So it's really an end-to-end support for your projects. Our core values, of course, are service, integrity, and reliability. And we work hard to achieve those goals for you. With that, I'm going to end my mini presentation here, my introduction, and turn it over to Spencer. Thanks, Spencer, and hand it off to you. Please take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Stuart, you're going to have to pay me for that 3 minutes of my time that you took to sell your design services. Unbelievable. Give me 1 second and I'll share my screen. Okay. And Stuart, can you confirm that you're seeing the right screen?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, it looks great.
All right, perfect. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about the opportunity that installers have in partnering with Maxeon. Per usual, we'll obviously talk about our differentiated technology and our technology advantage, warranty, all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to focus a little bit more today on the opportunity that installers currently have in the market in partnering with Maxeon. Okay, so first I want to take a look at historical market share for premium modules. And you can think of essentially premium and high efficiency as one and the same here. So from 2016, and actually it goes back further than this, this is just what WoodMac has available. 2016 to 2021, the premium segment of the market, and this is a rotating cast of characters, always SunPower Maxeon, but in various years, LG, Panasonic, Solaria, and others, enjoyed an average 26% share of market. And actually in 21, it was a bit higher than that, but they commanded a large percentage of the market and grew along with it. In 2022, that share went way down to 17%. Now, Maxeon, through our partnership with SunPower, increased the number of megawatts that we deployed from the previous year by a somewhat significant margin. You can see that in the WoodMac data that this is pulled from as well. But other players left the space, namely LG, right? So that put a big hole in the premium segment of the market. There was still supply, as was there, at the beginning of the year, this year to a point, but deployments were way down. So now in 2023, we find ourselves in a place where the premium share of the market is at a historic low. It's all the way down at 14%. And that presents an opportunity. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the current landscape. Okay, so manufacturers, premium. So SunPower, these are sort of the usual suspects of premium manufacturers, right? Well, let's look at what's going on today. SunPower is shifting strategy away from product, right? That's pretty well known. LG has exited, and the legacy supply that existed within the channel in the earlier part of the year has been exhausted. We just acquired Solaria, which is very exciting and enables us to bring a couple of new product lines to market. But until now, and for the next while, right, the shingled product that they were really known for and sort of made their name with hasn't been available, and that's been going on for quite some time, right? Panasonic, who originated, well, actually, that's not true, who I believe acquired the HIT, which is now HJT patents and technology from Sanyo, who originally developed it, stopped producing their own modules quite some time ago. And these are now essentially white labeled, significantly upcharged RECs. And then you've got REC, who make what I would call a commodity high efficiency or premium technology. It is a technology that every other company that has made it in the past has moved away from for one reason or another. And they've lost their manufacturing partner in Meyer Burger, who are now trying to go to market as their own brand. Let's look at the kitchen table landscape today. So there are a lot of headwinds in the industry right now, right? I think everybody on this call is well aware. Higher interest rates, probably the biggest one, but there have been significant negative policy decisions, California, Florida, North Carolina as well, and other headwinds. There was a massive supply constraint last year. Economic conditions aren't quite as good this year. There's a massive oversupply. It's a little bit of a mess. So what does that lead to? Well, in my experience, recently, it's apparent that installers are focused on retaining near-term savings for the homeowner. And, on the surface, this makes a lot of sense, right? I'm fully aware that a lot of installers are fighting to stay alive, particularly in markets like California that have previously been really, really frothy markets. So it makes sense to try to continue offering your customers the best deal you possibly can in order to keep your run rate up. What does that lead to? In order to do that, installers need to buy lower cost equipment, right? They need to cut labor costs. They need to cut costs wherever they can. And what this is leading to is a higher percentage of lower quality equipment being pitched and sold at the kitchen table, which is bad for customers. And this isn't, by the way, me saying this. If you haven't looked at the most recent WoodMac leaderboard report, you'll see that the portion of the market that's essentially unnamed in the module space or everyone else is higher, whereas every single module manufacturing company that you would associate with higher quality, better quality company and company story has lost share across the board. So this is bad for customers, right? They're paying the same thing because of the cost of money for lower quality systems those lower quality systems, which undoubtedly have lesser quality warranties attached to them, at least at the panel level, need to last longer as our ROIs are stretched, right? So by doing this, by trying to maintain a little bit of savings at the same amount of savings, or trying to win that savings game up front through cost reductions, you're really selling the customer something that, may have serious issues when it's actually starting to, or supposed to be starting to return that customer investment and mature. And this is bad for installers as well. It means reduced differentiation, which typically means an accelerated race to the bottom. If everyone is selling commodity products, if everyone's pitching the same thing and focusing ever more on savings, then there's a real lack of differentiation out there. And without differentiation, it's really hard to maintain consistent margins and or justify any kind of premium. Okay, so in conclusion, here's my worldview. Until very recently, the premium mod segment held about 25% share of market, right? Today, customers are being pitched more of the same cheap stuff. Virtually all of the premium mod manufacturers have exited space or shifted strategy. And at the same time, what I would call the perfect time, the Maxeon IBC product, which has always represented the top of market in terms of efficiency, quality, longevity, etc., is available for the first time outside of a supply-constrained closed dealer network. So what can the installer do? Well, this is what I think they'll do. I think that winners will differentiate, right? I think by doing that, they will protect market share for themselves. I think they'll be able to protect their margins. And critically, in a time of sort of flux and change in the industry, they will be able to build and retain best-in-class sales teams, which will allow them to scale faster once perhaps interest rates go down and or sales teams learn to sell under new policies that have exacerbated customer economics. So this is a lot of what we're going to focus on today, but let me take you through the basic agenda first. Okay, so quickly, we'll talk about the company, basic profile. We'll talk about the product basics, What do we sell here? What technology underpins that line of panels? We'll talk a little bit about what I call kitchen table concepts. So concepts like differentiation, customer choice, why they matter. We'll talk about Maxeon's IBC technology and how it enables the concepts. And we'll talk a little about warranty, and then I'll leave some time for Q&A at the end as well. Okay, company. All right, so I think most folks know this by now, but it's always important to review. Maxeon's been a company for over 38 years. We were SunPower. SunPower was Maxeon until 2020. The split basically made Maxeon the upstream entity. So we are the global entity, the manufacturing, the R&D, and SunPower, the downstream US DG-focused entity. So something that looks a little bit more like a Sunrun or something like that. We supply them with modules. They sell to customers. We operate the SunPower brand in all markets outside of the United States. Okay, we are a large global company, right? So our US headquarters is in Silicon Valley, and we have a large R&D facility there as well. All of the products, IBC and PERC actually, that are shipped into the US market are assembled in Mexico, and cells come out of the Philippines. We're headquartered in Singapore. We have R&D in Singapore as well. And then our EU headquarters is in Lyon, France. So we are a true global manufacturer. I think most people associate Maxeon probably because of the SunPower history and relationship with Resi, right? And to a point, commercial. But it's important to understand that we are a leader across all sectors, right? So we are completing the Gemini project in Nevada right now, which some of you may have seen from the plane when you were landing at RD Plus. And for a time, that will be the world's largest PV plus storage power plant. We were recently named one of the 100 most sustainable corporations in the world by a group called the Corporate Knights. I'd encourage anyone who's interested in this to go to the Corporate Knights website. The qualifications and evaluation to make this list of 100 are very stringent, right? First of all, it's only large companies, so they have to do $1 billion in rev to qualify. And it takes a look at sustainability in ways that I really hadn't thought about before. So for example, turnover is part of the equation, right? They want to make sure that the companies are sustainable, not only for the environment, so things like water usage and reduction in temps, energy usage and reduction in temps are taken into account, of course, but also sustainability for the people that actually work there and treatment of the people that work at these companies as well. So again, I would check this out. I'm very, very proud to work for a company that has been named one of the 100 most sustainable companies in the world. Makes my kids think I'm a little bit cooler. Okay, so briefly, we'll touch on this more later. Let's talk about the technology that underpins the Maxeon IBC module line. Okay, so frames first. We make an advanced aluminum frame that is for the format without a crossbar, the strongest frame in the market today. We use an encapsulant that much of the industry is actually starting to migrate to. We figured this out a little bit earlier than most. It's something that we adopted, a material that we adopted from the aerospace industry, and really helps to alleviate any kind of moisture concerns and or electrical stresses. We use the highest grade N-type purified silicon, which is LID free. Our cells, and this is where it gets really special, are back contact, right? So they utilize, rather than a grid on the front of the cell to carry energy from one cell to the next and eventually into the inverter into the home, a structural plate on the back of the cell. And the core of that structural plate is made out of copper, which is highly conductive. Behind that, there is a tin corrosive barrier that again mitigates any kind of corrosion from moisture or any other element. And then we use the highest quality anti-reflective glass from a select number of manufacturers, which helps us with capturing more refractory light on cloudy days early in the morning and later into the evening. And then finally, we have redundant interconnections between the cells. So you can see there that there's essentially a solid connection between the cells, right? So that's what we call a built-in strain relief. We know, as do other manufacturers, that metal and glass or silicon expand and contract during the day, at night, during the seasons at different rates, right? And so we account for that with this built-in strain relief. We also have 3 connections for electricity to travel between the cells, which helps us mitigate any kind of shade risk and or durability risk from shade and bypass diodes turning on. Okay, so as I said, that's the technology that underpins everything that we sell here in the US in the DG segment. So this is predominantly what we are selling through Green Tech today. It's the Max 3 AC ready line. So this is a 410 and 415 watt black on black panel and a 420 and 25 watt black on white panel. We also have a full line of commercial products, Max 3, Max 6, and then you can see the Performance 6 bifacial there as well. The panels on the left are predominantly the majority of what we sell. So these are appropriate for carports, for free field, rooftop, space constrained applications. And if you're interested in the commercial product, please contact your Green Tech rep. We are selling some commercial product through Green Tech now, and we'll look to increase the amount and perhaps the range of products that we sell to them on the commercial side later this year, early next year. The Performance 6 bifacial is a shingled product that is predominantly used for power plant applications. We have a little bit here and there of a few bins available. So if that's of interest, again, contact your Green Tech rep and they'll get in touch with us. But predominantly what we're selling is the IBC technologies here on the left. And then finally, we've got the Max Air frameless panel for low load applications. This panel and details about it will come out in 2024. Okay. And finally, on the company, we have a really bright future ahead of us. It's an exciting time, despite some of the headwinds in the industry, to be working at Maxeon. We've just made a $1 billion investment in domestic manufacturing in a cell, fab, and modco facility in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That facility will produce about 3 gigawatts of cells, and the modco will come online in 25. It'll create about 3,500 US jobs, which is super exciting. From a technology perspective, the product roadmap is very strong, right? So you guys probably, some of you probably saw this in PV Tech or PV USA. We took back the world record efficiency for panel efficiency at 24.7%. And that's the technology that underpins our next gen panels, which will be coming out next year. And then a further iteration of that actually gets us out above 25%. From a product portfolio standpoint, we're also expanding. I'm sure, again, many of you saw that we have acquired Solaria, and that will help us bring to market more differentiated products in the form of a half-cut product, similar to what you knew and loved about Solaria's XT line, and then shingled product, which is what you knew and loved about the XT line, and then in shorter term, a shingled product, a half-cut product as well. It's also helped us expand our team, and at this point, we're really fully staffed on the DG side of the house. We have 10 plus RSMs, a couple of ASMs as well. And we're really looking to continue growing that team for a high touch model in 2024 and beyond. Okay, so let's talk about some kitchen table concepts here. I touched on this earlier, but we'll go a little deeper now. So I believe that there is a lack of differentiation that is sort of permeating the industry right now due to most folks focus on bringing costs down. The problem with lack of differentiation is that it creates this accelerating race to the bottom. If you're buying a commodity, doesn't matter if it's solar or grain, you want the lowest price. That is sort of the definition of a commodity. It can be bought from many, many sources, and there's little to no differentiation between, except for price. Love this quote. The problem with the race to the bottom is that you might win, right? It's not a good business model. It's not sustainable. So differentiation is crucial at the kitchen table to close rate, to maintaining healthy margins, and to removing price as much as possible from the equation. Because I can tell you firsthand, no salesperson likes to spend all their time talking about price, right? But it's very difficult to come by. So where does it come from? Well, probably not from branding and or sort of existing mind share with the customer that you're going to go pitch, right? Like as much as we like to think that, for example, Sunrun is a massive brand, they are in solar. They are to solar people, but the average consumer, unless they're actively shopping for solar, doesn't really know anything about them, right? Many of these logos look the same. Not a knock. It's just not where you're going to get your differentiation. Proposals. Well, we're kind of all using the same stuff, right? This quote here is from Woodmac. 90% of the top U.S. residential solar installers were customers of Aurora in 2023. The actual percentage that actually hit the kitchen table or the email inbox is probably lower than that, but it only includes a couple of other options, right? Helioscope, Solo, Open Solar. There just aren't that many, and even those look very, very similar. And then there's equipment, right? You're unlikely to differentiate with your power electronics. Everyone is pitching one or both of the two major brands, and it's understandable why. Enphase and SolarEdge make super high quality products. They've got great features and benefits for the customers, but bottom line, everyone is buying and selling them, so there's no differentiation there. In the module space, the majority of the market is mono-PERC, right? So about 70%. You got about 7% that is commanded by HJT, and then you've got IBC produced by Maxeon, which has been supply constrained to about was last year to 10.6% of the market through SunPower. So what happens if you do differentiate? Well, conceptually, you're able to maintain more consistent margins. So you've got a better business, a more sustainable business, and happier employees, and maintain a higher close rate, right? Basic blue ocean strategy. If there's a lot of competition over here going after the same fish, swim in the opposite direction, do something different, and capture more of the market. Okay, Let's talk about customer choice. So lack of true customer choice will result in a smaller available market, right? So if you go into an ice cream shop and you see this on the menu, right? I think you'd realize quickly that this particular ice cream shop is for one type of customer, right? It specifically, personally, it is not for my daughter. She does not like vanilla ice cream. And so if an ice cream shop sold only vanilla, they'd be leaving money on the table. They wouldn't be capturing all of the customers that they could if they offered distinct choice, right? Like there's a little choice in here. You've got gelato, you've got a classic vanilla, you've got, there's like a hand churned in here, I believe. Yeah, it's slow churned. Actually, both of these are. But bottom line, they aren't distinctly different from each other enough to capture a larger portion of the market. It makes Lane unhappy. Successful companies get this, right? Look at Tesla. They launched with the Model S and Model X shortly after that. And the Model X certainly provided uplift. It offers a lot more utility than the S, which is somewhat of a niche product for a small segment of the market looking for a sports sedan. But when they brought to market a lower price point sedan and then a lower price point SUV, that's when sales really went through the roof. They sold more Model S's and X's because of the other two products. But bottom line, you have to offer distinct choices to get customers in the door to scale your business. Distinct choices equals happy Lane. Only likes chocolate. Okay. So how do we deliver these things? Differentiation and customer choice. Well, let's look at that module landscape again. So we've got Mono Perk up here, 70% of the market. Customers don't know these brands. Customers know Panasonic, but not for module manufacturing. And HJT's got that other 7%, right? Okay. So do any of these, Mono Perk and HJT, offer exclusive technology? Nope. Do they offer advantages the customer can see and feel? Now, this is a really important key sales and kitchen table concept. You might want to say, well, yeah, HJT is quite different than the Mono Perk, right? It's different on a spec sheet. It does not look different to the naked eye. And I can tell you firsthand, homeowners do not buy spec sheets. That's just not how they shop. What about company story? Well, there's, not a lot to say about sort of the ownership groups. Most of these companies, Panasonic's got the best one. Certainly there are many others in here, right? I'm not just poking at these guys, but Panasonic is fundamentally not a module manufacturer. They white label. And then a track record in solar anywhere near their warranty term. For the most part, the answer is no. Okay, and then you got Maxeon. So remember, in 2022, we were constrained to 10.6% of the market, even though we deployed more through SunPower than we had the previous year. This presents a real greenfield opportunity for Maxeon partners who were not willing to sort of go all in with SunPower, which is understandable, to get access to the IBC product, to really the top of market product. So let's do the same review over here. Do we offer exclusive technology? Yes. Nobody else makes IBC. There are other back contact manufacturers that are shipping products to other parts of the world, but they are not interdigitated, and that's important as well. Do we offer advantages the customer can see and feel? We do. So customers can see that there are no lines on the front of the cell, and we offer sales tools, we'll talk about here in a minute, that the customer can actually put their hands on. They can see the difference. They don't have to look at a spec sheet to see, oh, well, that's a higher quality product because of X, Y, and Z. And that's really important to differentiation at the kitchen table. Do we have a great company story? We do. We were founded in Silicon Valley. We're nearly 40 years old. We've been a pure play solar company the entire time, meaning we have to make solar work, right? We've all seen over and over, LG being sort of the largest and most recent, manufacturers who dabble in solar, but whose core businesses lie elsewhere, leave the space. And that doesn't put installers or customers in a very good spot. Maxeon is pure play solar, period. And then again, a track record to or anywhere near warranty term, yes. And we'll talk about this here in a little bit, but we offer the industry's only 40-year warranty, right? We've advanced our warranty term, or lengthened it rather, over time. And we've been able to do that because we've been doing this for so long. We own a fleet, and we can actually look at empirical performance of our modules and say, well, based on performance over time, we can offer the customer a better warranty. Okay, so more on the advantages the customer can see and feel. I'm pretty sure most folks on the call are familiar with these things, but it's important to touch on them because, again, it's crucial to understand, if you really understand your customer and how they buy. The average homeowner shopping for solar, or who's being sold solar, they are not buying off a spec sheet. They have no idea, for the most part, or have just found out through some tertiary research, who SolarEdge is, who Qcells is, who Maxeon is, right? So it's difficult, right? As a salesperson at the kitchen table, you have a big job to explain to the customer why exactly they should go with your suite of products and your company. We allow you and offer tools that make that a lot easier. I'm sure, again, most folks on the call, perhaps everyone, has seen a brake kit. This is a little snap from the brake kit video that we have on YouTube. We have these available in our partner portal. If you don't have a brake kit with you, you can certainly show the video, but I really recommend having a customer do one. It's really, really impactful. Now, it's funny, when I came to Maxeon, I say came back because I was at SunPower many years ago, I got a lot of, oh, you guys are still doing that brake kit thing, from installer prospects, green tech reps, et cetera. And I get it, right? SunPower Maxeon has been doing this for 12 plus years. But here's my response, and it will be this, till the end of time, I suppose. Show me someone else's brake kit. Until another manufacturer has a brake kit that rivals ours and shows, cell strength and quality structure that is anywhere close to ours, this very much is applicable. It's important for the customer to understand what they're buying and what's special about our product. And this is the easiest way to help them understand that very quickly. And then below that, sorry, a little bit of crude picture here, but below that, we have what we call the 4-cell demo, although I guess this is kind of like a 5, right? So what you've got are 2 IBC cells side by side. And then these come in sort of various flavors. This is a half-cut mono PERC here on the right. And the important thing that the customer can see here is twofold. So one, they can see that there are no lines on the front of our cells. That's great from an aesthetic standpoint. And, depending on what's important to the customer, that might be the thing that sort of pushes them over the line and says, okay, well, this is the thing for me. They can also see, if they look a little closer, that there is a solid connection between our 2 cells, right? And they'll see that there are thin sort of line connections, no matter how many of them there are, between our competitors' cells. And, I've heard over time as well with this demo, well, we sell whatever it is, right? Qcells or Panasonic or any other front contact competitor. And these cells in your demo are somebody else's. The key here is it doesn't really matter. Everyone else is front contact. And that means they have thin, unsupported connections. And what the homeowner can see when they're looking at this 4-cell demo is that there is quite a lot of light coming through the cracks here between our competitors' cells. And with ours, it's a thick, solid connection. Okay. So this is why I really lump front contact into one category and IBC into another. Sure, there's differentiation in front contact. There's HJT, and mono PERC, mono, et cetera. But it's all front contact, which means it's difficult for the customer to see differences. So what are those differences? If you're at the kitchen table, what does the customer see? Well, if you're selling a good, better, best, let's look at good and best here. Good, the real benefits to the customer are reduced monthly payment and shorter ROI if all goes well, right? If the product performs the way the spec sheet says it's going to, and or the manufacturer honors the warranty, if they have problems, the way that they maybe say they're going to, depending on how many indemnities are in that warranty, and you should read those cover to cover. This is what the good choice offers the customer: reduced monthly payment, shorter ROI. Here's what the best choice offers. We have the industry's leading technology, the industry's leading aesthetics, best look for the home, the highest efficiency products, meaning the highest offset, the lowest degradation in the industry, and empirical evidence to show that that's true, real world in-field data. We have a 38-year track record. We are a supplier to Apple, Google, NASA, SpaceX, just to name a few. What's that mean to the homeowner? Well, they get the largest bill offset. They get the best return on investment. They get ultimate peace of mind with that 40-year fully wrapped warranty, which includes labor all the way to year 40. They get the best looks for their home, their most valuable asset, more than likely. And there's a sense that they get the best. There's value in that, right? If we used to say back in my SunPower days, and those of you who have sold SunPower before or maybe worked there or on the call will recall this. We used to say that our customers created a lot more referrals than any of our competitors because they bragged about the product a lot. They wanted to show their neighbors that, hey, they'd gotten not just solar, but the best solar. And yeah, they paid a little bit more money for it, but they'd gotten the best. It gives the customer some pride in what they purchased. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about our technology advantage. Take a little bit deeper dive into that. Okay, so durability. So it's helpful to understand where front contact panels degrade and fail to understand the advantages of IBC technology. So this comes from this is a twofold kind of things. The data here comes from a DuPont Global PV Reliability Study in 2020. Many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this study. It's available online in an executive summary in full form. DuPont is a backsheet manufacturer, and so they have a vested interest in seeing where panels are failing, why, et cetera. So this is a study that is observed over 3 gigawatts of field installation. So it's massive and global. The second is a famous study. It's the Jordan study that was done by NREL that measured in-field real-world degradation of mono-PERC, HJT, and IBC in particular. And so what these studies kind of found is that panels degrade significantly, so past their warranty degradation rate, and fail for 2 main reasons, right? Hotspots and internal cell circuitry and cell cracking. And these are typically the results of shading and again, cell cracking. So here's how it kind of happens, right? So if power is blocked in a traditional solar panel, you're going to get power and therefore heat buildup. Right? The same thing is true if the cell cracks. You can also sustain this kind of damage from ribbon soldering failures. And bottom line, in any one of these cases, you get energy that's essentially trapped, which triggers reverse bias in the cell, meaning the energy created in the cell before the blockage is just kind of sitting there. It's trapped energy, trapped heat, which is bad for all of the components around it. So there is technology built into all panels to protect models against this, right? And that technology is a very inexpensive, pervasive technology called bypass diode. That said, bypass diodes for all panels are not designed to be on consistently, right? So if you've got soiling or like soft shade, it's possible that a panel cleaning will alleviate the issue and the bypass diode will turn off and your panels won't sustain any kind of serious damage. But if you've got hard shade, or if you have a cell crack or ribbon soldering, that bypass diode is going to be on until it fails, essentially. And bypass diodes are not designed to be on all the time. When that happens, at some point, you're going to get a hot spot. You'll get a burned backsheet and discoloration on the cell, and potentially even glass breakage. So why is the IBC product impervious? Well, it's extremely crack resistant, right? So I mentioned earlier that these cells, IBC cells, are built on a a copper foundation, which is coated in tin. That represents the only structural conductive element in cells today, right? We have superior performance in shade because of the redundant connections in the cell, and more so because of that fundamental IBC cell technology. So the voltage that needs to be reached for the cell not to go into reverse bias, so for that energy that's being created before a blockage like shade not to be trapped, is extremely low for IBC cells, much, much lower than any other competitive technology, meaning it's much easier for energy to essentially flow under or around any kind of shading, hard or soft, which means bypass diodes aren't turned on nearly as often. And that protects the cell and therefore the panel from degradation and failure. So again, it's important to kind of remember what's happened over the past decade in terms of competitive cell technologies, right? In 2018, I believe, well, first of all, panel format was uniform. I'd like to go back to those days. I bet a lot of you guys would as well. And since it was, you basically had, you had 60, 72, and 96 cell panel formats, different size cells, but essentially everything was built in those sort of formats. And in the 60 cell format, Maxeon was making, a 345 watt module and a 360 watt module. And the nearest competition was in the low 300s, and the market was in the high 200s, right? So we had a much larger gap in efficiency than we have today. So our competitors have done a fine job in catching up from an efficiency standpoint. Now, remember, I mentioned the next gen technology that's coming next year, where we'll reestablish that efficiency advantage. But for now, it's smaller than it has been traditionally. That said, it's really important to remember that these are all front contact cell technologies. None of them have structural plates. None of them have reinforced redundant connections between the cells. None of them have built-in strain reliefs between the cells. And so that opens them up, regardless of how efficient, to the same sort of fundamental reliability and longevity issues that front contact cells have always had. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how this translates into performance advantage. Okay, so the IBC cell technology enables a very low temperature coefficient. So we produce more on hot days than your average module. We talked about the quality of the anti-reflective glass that we use, limited number of suppliers. And again, just the fundamental IBC cell architecture allows us a broader spectral response. So more production early in the day, more production late in the day. We use the highest quality materials, including that high-grade N-type silicon that I mentioned earlier, and the anti-reflective glass, and all that combines for about a 5% kilowatt-hour per rated watt energy advantage on day one, same conditions, versus a high-quality mono PERC module. How does that bear out at the system level? Well, if you compare us to a same number of panels HJT, same number of panels, and same wattage mono PERC system, here's what production looks like in year 10 in aggregate. So we'll have and this is all out of PVSYST. I'm happy to send detail on this so folks can poke around in it later as follow-up. We'll have a 2200 kilowatt hour advantage over the HJT system and about a 5600 kilowatt hour advantage over the mono PERC. So this is in the first 10 years. At year 25, that expands to 5700 or doubles to 5700 more versus the HJT system, and then 20,000 nearly versus the mono PERC system. And then at year 40, there's no power guarantee for anyone but Maxeon, right? So it's important to understand sort of what's behind these. Again, I'm happy to send out detail as follow-up, but you've got many of the things that I talked about in the first slide, so temperature coefficient, spectral response, and high-quality materials. You also, versus HJT, have voltage, essentially, and inverter or MLPE compatibility. So we built what we call the AC ready Max 3 module, the 410, 415 black, 420, 425 white for the US market to allow flexibility for installers, such that we could be compatible with the broadest array of MLPE options, right? And what that means is we can attach our high efficiency modules that are significantly lower voltage than some competitive HJT modules to higher end, higher output, continuous output, for example, in-phase microinverters, right? Now, also important to understand that in-phase, and I'm sure many of you know this, is developing an IQ8 product for higher voltage panels. Competitive HJT modules can't restring their cells for lower voltage and maintain the efficiency that's near Maxeon's. It's just something that's not possible outside of IBC. We have been able to do that, but same as what happened with HJT, we lose 10 or 15 watts in the process. So if and when this IQ8 high voltage unit comes out, theoretically, we would be able to produce a higher voltage module as well. That would then be 10 to 15 watts higher power class. So it's important to understand that it's an advantage that is sort of specific to the in-phase units that are on the market today, but could be fairly easily reestablished in the event of a new in-phase unit supporting higher voltage modules. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the 40-year warranty. So I'll stick here for a second. So just conceptually, I think about warranty in one of two ways, I think. So a company can either, well, I guess, first of all, the best warranty is the warranty that you'll never use, right? Publicly traded companies do not want to put a warranty on a product, any company, private or public. Companies don't want to put a warranty on a product that they think they're going to have to service, because that generates massive down the road liabilities for them, right? So the best way to improve and expand sort of the term of your warranty is through historical empirical evidence. And that's what Maxeon SunPower have always done, right? Before the split, we were the first manufacturer with a 12-year labor warranty. Then we were the first with a 25-year labor warranty. And since then, we've been able to expand the warranty to 40 years because we know the product will last longer than that, right? We don't want to open ourselves up to liabilities, but we can do this and take an extremely minimal additional warranty reserve against that additional 15 years because we've proven that the product will do it. So it's the only 40-year product in the industry. The other way that you can expand on your warranty or improve it is through what I would call a business decision. Right. So if you have a competitor who can say, like Maxeon, who can say, well, gosh, our product will go for 40 plus years, and we know that a very, very, very small portion, of the modules that we sell will have problems in years, 25 to 40, or even 35 to 40, or even past 40. Then to stay competitive, you may need to improve your warranty as well. But in that situation, and we've had many competitors do this over time, it's important to understand that the product doesn't necessarily justify it, right? The sales environment, the competitive environment is what justifies it. So I think that's a key concept to understand. Okay, so let's dig into it just a little bit. So same as the other best stuff out there, 98% in year one, 0.25% degradation rate. So we're warranted at 92% output in year 25 and 88.3% output in year 40, which I always like to, if I was talking to a customer at the kitchen table, I would say, can you think of any other product on earth that is warranted to nearly 90% of its day one performance in year 40? I mean, I certainly cannot. Excuse me. The other important piece here is product, right? So we offer a 40-year product warranty. Anyone can register for this. So it doesn't have to be installed by a particular tier of dealer. The homeowner can register it. The installer can register it. We have that much confidence in the product that it has a 40+ year useful life. The interesting thing here too, it is a true 40-40-40 warranty. You can see at the bottom that service, removal of the old panel, shipping of the old panel, shipping of a new panel, and installation of the new panel are all covered for 40 years. The interesting thing about this is when you get a mismatch between product and power warranty, you're really potentially in a very bad spot as a customer, right? So there are some articles about this that you can look up in PVUSA, PV Tech, that talk about large swaths of modules that have gone past their product warranties, but are not performing from an output perspective to the warranty. There is a history of manufacturers in our space saying, well, the backsheet delaminated. So that's actually a product issue. And sure, it's affecting production or performance rather, but it is a product issue and you're beyond your product warranty. So full true coverage is really important for the customer, particularly in a time where customer economics are getting stretched. And this just kind of illustrates that concept, right? In a time where ROIs are getting pushed out, it's just extremely risky to be selling lower quality products with shorter warranty terms, because as you all know, we all talk about ROI in this business in a way that doesn't really fit the definition of ROI. It's essentially payback, right? So that's kind of the first milestone that customers look at. Well, okay, this thing will pay for itself in 5 or 7 or 10 years, whatever it is. In a time where ROIs or payback are getting pushed out, it's extremely risky to the customer, because during the time when the investment in solar is really supposed to be paying off and you're supposed to be getting dividends from it, essentially, to have no product warranty is it's an extremely risky proposition. Okay, so let's return to where we started, essentially, the better best concept. So you remember what we offer the homeowner and what I think the true benefit, the value to the homeowner is of the better choice, but now we put some dollars to it, right? So this is, the monthly payments are modeled on a 25-year loan with a 449 APR and a 34% dealer fee. This is an 8 kW system, and there is I believe 40 cent a watt delta between better and best. And what you see is it's $30, right? There's not a whole lot that you can do with $30 as a consumer. And by the way, you can shrink that number. It doesn't necessarily need to be that much. We want it to be as fair as possible to our competition. $30 will get you, 2 burritos and 2 drinks at Chipotle. It'll get you maybe half a tank of gas, or on a monthly basis, it can get you the industry's most advanced technology, the best aesthetics for your home, highest efficiency panels on the market, the same panels or cells that are supplied to Apple, Google, NASA, and SpaceX, and truly the best, right? The largest utility bill offset, which is very important to customers, as you guys know. And again, ultimate peace of mind in a time where that is increasingly important. All right, that's all I have prepared for you guys today. Let's open it up to questions. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start at the bottom. Sorry, because there are a lot in here. What is the best way to address the Maxeon 15% global layoff if the customer brings it up? So there's an oversupply in the market right now. I think we're all well aware of that, right? The layoff was a necessary move in order to protect the business, essentially. When a market downturns and or when there's oversupply, a manufacturer needs to do this in order to protect their business. So the way that I would address it is to say, this is something that Maxeon is doing to ensure that they're there for the long haul to service your warranty should you have any problems in 35 years. Okay. What have you changed to improve the notably poor customer service of SunPower? Important to understand, we're not the same company as SunPower. We have a very different offering, right? So SunPower has significantly higher customer service needs. They are a finance company. They're a design company. They generate leads. They are white labeling power electronics. So I would expect you to have much less need in the way of customer service when it comes to Maxeon. But I'd be happy to kind of offline that one to understand what your if there's a specific question in there. There's a tell me about your bifacial module. So it would probably be kind of irresponsible for me to. we have a very, very small allocation of that product right now. That said, reach out to our commercial sales rep for the West Coast, Greg Belis, and he can give you more information, and I will put his email in the chat. It says, when will SunPower One add-on services value-add products be available in North America? Okay, that's a good question. So I'll clarify it for the group first. So like I mentioned earlier, we operate the SunPower brand in all countries outside the US. SunPower One is what we call sort of our suite of products and services outside the US. For now, we are focused on module sales. That said, we are certainly in sort of constant conversation with partners to determine if it does make sense to bring something like an AC module, a differentiated AC module to market or storage. However, I've been doing this for, I think, almost 15 years. I think many of the folks here probably have as well. You guys know how risky it can be to introduce new products, particularly storage and inverters. So I want to make sure that if we do introduce a fully wrapped branded suite of products, that we do it right and that we don't cause our customers the headaches that are typically associated with new products. So for now, we are focused 100% on growing the channel business through PV. And we'll look to add products and services more than likely over time. All right, guys, and I think we're at time. I very much appreciate everyone's attention and attendance today.
Thanks, Spencer.
And Stuart, I'll turn it over to you.
That was really good. Yeah, I've seen a lot of efficiency development, obviously, but it's great to see reliability being developed in parallel, like just as well.
Important.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.